Let me ask you this about abuse. We're going to have a show about this on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And Iyanla, I know that you've dealt with this for many years in your own life.
Yeah.
And I asked the question for the women who are abused and the men too. What happens that a person can justify that in their mind that they deserve that, or is their fault that they're being beaten?
Well, not just beaten. You know, I'm equally as concerned about emotional abuse, about spiritual. I just had a show where there was spiritual abuse going on, you know, and it's the fear that if I don't have this, I won't get anything else. The fear that I can't really have what I want, so let me stay here. It is the belief that something is better than nothing. And then it's also the modeling. If we've seen it, if we lived with it, chances are we're going to end up with it.
I don't know if I asked you this question before. The first time that a man puts his hands on a woman or vice versa, and that person accepts that they just been hit.
Yeah.
What goes on in their mind that they're not saying, oh, my God, I got to get out of here?
Well, let me tell you what happened to me. I can only speak from my experience, and maybe, you know, it's common. But I had been married about 4.5, almost 5 years when my husband hit me for the first time. So first there's shock and horrification, you know.
Right.
There's shock and horrification. This is somebody you love, somebody you sleep with, somebody you bore his children. You all share money together. You've been through hard times and good times. So the conflict that comes up in the consciousness, A, how could this person I love do this to me? And then B, I must have done something to cause this. What did I do? And then C, you're like, oh my God, how do I leave somebody I love?
And what about the second and third time?
Well,
because the first time I understand it.
Yeah, okay. You want to believe that it's going to change. And my experience was that there were, 2 to 3 months, 6 months between the first hit and the second hit.
Gotcha.
And in that first 30 days after the hit, everything is great. He's doing everything. He's being wonderful. And so you want to believe it's changed. But then you start to you see the signs. If I say this, he swells up. Okay, let me back down. And it's such a vicious cycle. And if you have no money of your own, if you have nowhere to go, plus all of the fears that we talked about, you feel trapped. I felt trapped. I felt trapped until I found 2 words that saved my life.
What's that?
No more. Period.
What about for men? Iyanla, we talk about abuse all the time, domestic violence and verbal and otherwise about women, but is it a different experience for men?
No, I don't think. I think with both men and women, you also have the shame and the embarrassment. You really don't want anybody to know that you're sleeping with somebody that's going upside your head. That's ego, straight up ego. You have to deal with that. The men, I want to speak for a moment, if we can, Michael, to the men.
Sure.
It's a level of frustration. There's a level of rage and anger. But what I've discovered in my conversations with men is the one button that men can't navigate when it gets pushed is if they're made to feel inadequate.
How about that?
If a man is made to feel inadequate, he's going on the defense mode, and he's coming after you. And a lot of men have shared that with me, and so I'm not making any excuses for it. I'm just saying if you're a brother and you've got that issue, if you have those things, get some help. I have a workshop coming up for men in December called Building a Solid Foundation.
We got to blow that up. That's important.
Yeah, because it in these times, Michael, people are being pushed to the edge.
Yep.
And they're fighting not to fall over. Unfortunately, they're fighting the people they love.
And inadequacy for men could be sexual, financial,
Sexual, financial. Mm-hmm. If the woman, one of the things that in this day and age where women are making more money than men, and she throws up in his face how much she's making and what he's not doing. That's like a trigger, and it's primal. It's primal.